What's up, guys? Mike here for another week of the Cult Report. So this is week 3, Cult Report number 3. And I mean, a big part of this is to keep us accountable, make sure we're doing shit that we actually have something to talk about. But it's also a good way for you guys to see kind of the systems at the end of it all, right? And so you can kind of see how it's broken up into two main categories, lead and lure. And so that's pretty much all you got to do as a cult creator, right? You can check the box after you've done the lead and the lure systems. It's just what comes down to your school, right? What do those systems look like for your school? But once you get through, I mean, the last 3 parts of the cult creator model, the ones in yellow in the classroom, is all about leading the community, right? Leading your customer cult. And so that is how do we increase significance, similarity, and status. And so that is kind of what tees back up to this, right? So one part is propaganda, the third part of the model. And that's the lure systems, right? How do you market? How do you get new people in? But all you got to focus on as a cult creator is get new people in and tickle the people that are in it, right? And so there's a bunch of new ones within that, right? Creating hope each day, creating significance, the addiction formula and how to make people feel like this is a place that they belong. But it really just comes down to luring and leading. And so this week, Friday, November 28th, happy Thanksgiving to all the Americans, which is most of you. It was very sleepy here, especially yesterday, but that was cool for me. So just got to chill mostly, work on some back end stuff. In terms of, the leading systems this week, we were optimizing, right? So that's a big part, especially in the early days, is optimizing and getting the classroom built, getting all the nuance built. I mean, eventually you'll hit a part where everything is built. So all you got to do is like an hour of marketing, maybe 2, maybe 3, depending on how big you want to grow, but like just a little bit of marketing and then just the cult creator systems for leading. And so like 1 to 2 hours a day and you're good. But in the beginning, it is pretty heavy with optimizations and building, making it all better, right? So for us, we're still working the classroom. We had to redo everything from the 90-day tribe side of things to now cult creators. And so with that, I mean, now we're even redoing the tribe map even further based off the insights that we're getting from you guys, how to make it better, how to make it cleaner. And so you can see that several of you commented on the new declaration post, which is sick. I like that because also the reticular activating system, the RAS in the brain, is always scanning, right? And so it's always looking for whatever we're telling it to look for. But the problem is we're always focused on 1,000 different things. And so it's good to have one clear path of like, well, what is my goal? What am I declaring to say like, this is my core goal? And so you can see I posted this morning our sticky notes. So 100 paying members, right? And then throw a date on there. But now everywhere I look in my office, when I go to the bathroom, like 100 paying members, that's my core goal. Like we have some other things. And so I'm thinking about the agency side of things. But then my brain always comes back to, well, how are we getting 100 paying members? And so then the reticular activating system is always like, how are we getting 100 paying members? And so luring and leading. So back to this, we had to change the indoctrination and the onboarding because it's now a new model, right? We went to freemium a week ago. And so with that, the welcome post was doing onboarding and indoctrinating. And so you'll see when you do like the indoctrination module that they should be separate, right? Onboarding is very much about creating access, creating momentum, creating, behavioral momentum. So it's that going up the commitment curve. You do something and then you do something else and then you do something else, right? And so the declaration was very much on indoctrinating because one is like getting access and getting that frame of orientation for what we're doing here. But the other, indoctrinating, is like, well, who are we as a cult creator? Like we have to change behavior, right? So if we can change beliefs and behavior, then we can get you to adopt the identity of a cult creator and then you can achieve the results of becoming a cult creator, right? And so we had to separate the declaration out because that was on indoctrination. So it's just meant to be a post that people go through the indoc and then they click that and then they make their declaration. Whereas the welcome post, we want it to be a lot easier and it's more on the onboarding side. So it's like the welcome and it's just like we say, the welcome post should have one mission. Everything you do should just have one door, one hallway where there's only one thing expected of them. What do I need to know? And what do I need to do? So it's do that quiz, give your score, right? So that's now updated, the welcome post. And again, look at what we're doing because it's what you guys should be doing, right? Your welcome post should just kind of have like one clear mission. and not have like do this and do this and do this. You can see like ours kind of does, because it's like do the quiz and then like tell us all these details about you. But ultimately it's one cohesive, like, who are you? What are you building? Where are you at? So we can create the gap to see like, well, where do you need to go? And then all the indoctrination kind of happens secondary. It happens within the classroom, right? Rick and I were even talking about this he's like, the mission video should be the same as the auto onboarding video. I'm like, entirely disagree, because when you enter the classroom, your brain is ready to start doing stuff. Maybe the first time it's just to get curious, but like you're in a different mentality. It's like when you're sitting in the living room versus sitting in the kitchen, you know? When you're sitting in the classroom, your brain is kind of like ready to start doing something. But when you just join the new ecosystem, that auto onboarding video is the very first thing they see, in which case it has to be just a quick frame of orientation. This is who we are. This is what we're doing here, right? This is where we're going. This is how you get there. And so it just needs to be like a quick overview to set the tone. More importantly, calm the amygdala, right? And so we've redone the indoc versus onboard, and with that, we're also re-optimizing the indoctrination module to make it a little bit more clear. We're optimizing the tribe map to make it more clear, specifically with the mechanism piece. And so, and then one sec on the mechanism, but building out the rest of the product experience section. So it's interesting that we're helping several people, right? Like on the agency side and in here on the product experience, which is like, how do you codify your entire method down into a classroom that creates dopamine triggers, that creates behavioral buy-in, that gets people to actually like move through a sequence, right? It's kind of a lot of work. And so a big part of that is like, we're building our product experience, our classroom, as we're building the how to build out the product experience part of the classroom, as we're helping three people right now specifically work through this part of cult creating. And so once we're through this part of the modules, Rick just needs to go and make sure that the frameworks are tight, right? Because again, it's like, it has to be very easy to figure out. And that's kind of tough when you're taking your entire life's work and turning it into, a classroom. But the mechanism was a huge piece, right? Specifically as we were working with people in the DIY. How do you find that point of differentiation? And also like, where does it fit, right? So obviously it's that how do we get there section in the tribe map, but the mechanism is one of the biggest parts, because most people don't have any form of differentiation. And then how do you stand out in a sea of sameness, right? There's just no differentiation. There's no uniqueness to it. Then it's like, well, why you then? Unless they like you, unless you're a personality and they've been following you for years and they trust you because they see what kind of life you've created and what kind of results you've got. But you have to have a mechanism. For us, it's cult psychology. That is the one differentiator. Like, that's the difference maker. So again, somewhere in your story, you've tried all these things, and then eventually you tried this something or a mixture of some things and created something of your own that worked. And that is the differentiator. That's what becomes the method. So the method is really kind of two parts. It's a mechanism and it's a name. Naming is easy once you have the mechanism. So the methodology should be very heavy on the mechanism, because not only is that your differentiation, but that is your North Star for content creating, for rituals, kind of for everything, right? And so rituals is engagement. So again, in the leading systems, it's optimizing the classroom. So, making tweaks to the method, the model, the classroom, the milestones, the merch, all the things like that. And then it's rituals, right? So engagement really comes from triggers, which comes from rituals, right? We have to give people a reason to come to the community and reasons to come back to the community. And so you can see it's just us posting in the community right now because we don't have any engagement rituals set up. So again, we need to look at where are we going? How do we get there? So specifically, how do we get there? That mechanism, cult psychology. And then with that, we're like, okay, so what do we need to do along the transformation journey? There's rituals every day, every week, every month, maybe every year. And so a big part of that is brand washing. So having our brand washing document. So I have that printed, read it in the mornings. So taking a selfie with that, is going to be the next upgrade to what we share, because we want you guys doing that as well. Brand washing yourself every morning. The morning is the most important time of day to get your brain right, because it's the only time that you're not in a reactive state. It's the only time that you're in a creator state where you feel like you still have all of the bandwidth and like the power and control to take on like, how do I want my day to look? And so it's the most important time to read your brand washing, to be clear on your goals, to be clear on who do I need to be today as a cult creator. And so again, reticular activator, just always coming back to where are we going so that your brain can help you get there. So on the leading side, building up the classroom, right? We're on the freemium model. So several people have joined this week. And that means we are now ramping up on the leading side of things, right? So how do we create this calendar so that it's easy to do the rituals? It creates engagement triggers so that you guys start posting, and then there's comments. And then when you see comments in the notifications, that's an engagement trigger for you to come back, look at that, maybe like it, right? And so it starts to create this fulfilling prophecy, where it's like you do something which creates triggers, which creates a reason for you to come back, which usually creates triggers, which gives you a reason to come back. So on the leading side, it's really working on the classroom and on the rituals that become engagement triggers via the mechanism. So then on the lure side, right, all we got to do is lure and lead. And so how do we invite new motherfuckers to our cult? And so I really like this Gary Halpert quote. I came across these tapes from... It was filmed in the suite of a hotel where it was like Joe Polish, Gary Halpert, like a few of the OGs of marketing, advertising. And so he was telling Joe Polish, he's like, you don't need 1,000 good ideas. You need to implement 2 good ideas really well. And so I think that's the problem, especially in today's society. There's so much free information out there. There's so many things we can do. Right. So on the lure side, then like, yeah, we can get on podcasts, we can do webinars, we can do paid ads, we can be posting on Insta, we can be posting on YouTube, we can be, sponsoring weird places of the internet where our traffic exists. You know, we can buy Reddit, like subreddits, and moderate that. We can buy Facebook groups. We can start Facebook groups. But it's super fucking exhausting. And like everything works if you work it long enough and just keep fumble fucking forward. Right. So pick 2 things. So for us, it's partners and posting. So partners have always been, since the very first time we made money on the internet, it was partnerships. Like we don't have an audience because we've always been behind the scenes. And so 12 years ago, 13 years ago, first product that we ever created, then we sold through our mentors list, right? So we made like $1,000 by creating this guide, and we sold it to his list. So it was like a partnership. But we have a VSL. So we have like a 4-part module with a video sales letter that just got posted this week into another school. So now we have 2 other schools that have our content in the classroom, which become leads and traffic and more or less propaganda that gets them to buy into our way of doing things, which bring them back to cult creators. So partnerships is going to be a huge piece because, again, we have to build our list. So that's the constant posting. But partnerships, there's already people there, right? So if we can just find the right partners, then it's the quick money, it's the quick wins, versus posting is the long game, right? Short game, long game. Because they say like post every day for a year and you'll never have to worry about money again. Obviously you have to post the right things and have the consistency and like some personality and philosophy behind it. But we got our new design locked in, so now it's getting easier to get content out. It's like when you know things are not great, right? Like the boys right here, they were talking about how the very first thing you need is to fall in love with the product. And so that's a big part of like optimizing, is making sure that you're in love with your product. And so I knew our design wasn't right. Like it felt so off. And so we finally got the design to a place where it feels like what I wanted for cult creators. And so that means the way we post like Instagram carousels and like the backgrounds and the fonts and the colors and the symbols, right, is now all updated to the point where it's easier to get the content out because we have the words. You know, we're fine at doing the words, but in terms of like creating good designs and videos and shit, then now it's like the gates are open. So again, the message has been updated. You know, it's not tribe method anymore for like marketers and degens, whatever. It's very much for schoolers who want to build a customer cult. And so we got the messaging dialed in. Then we got the method, right? So the method has been updated in the classroom, continually being updated there. And then the model. So the model is now freemium. We now have, you know, the free plan, the $69 a month DIY, go through the classroom, and the $1,000 a month where you get unlimited access to us on our calendar and in the DMs to go faster, right? And so that's just on the school side. And then we have the agency side where it's just, you know, we do it all for you. But that's separate. And so posting and partnering. And so quick game, short game. So that's the two things. Just focus on what two things that you should be focusing on. And again, once you're through the tribe map, then it makes it a lot easier because you understand your shared identity and the shared struggles and like where you're going. Then you understand, well, then who has that audience? Where do they hang out? And so again, these boys really talking about the number one thing you need to look for is a starving audience. They're like, if you had a hot dog stand, don't work on making your buns better or having better ketchup or better meat. Like, just go and find a hungry audience. It's the easiest thing you can do. So that's where partnering really works, is who's got that hunger and who's got the people just waiting for it. So that's our plan. That's what we're continually doing, partnering and posting. And so that's luring and leading on the cult creator side. And then cult psychology, right? So just something we've been thinking about. There's two things. So the Dunbar is a big part of why the cult creator model works, is because Robin Dunbar did a study, and the human brain can only hold 100 to 150 meaningful relationships in our head. And so like we can recognize thousands of faces and remember names and shit, but where identity meets meaning, meets relationship, and how you can actually like hold all of that in your head so that you know like how this person, you know how you met them, you know the backstory, you know who they are, you know their relationship to yourself and to the rest of your friend group and family and like relational tree. And so that's what customer cults is all about. It's not about creating thousands of members and having something just like so big TAM and like wildly cool that everyone wants to join it. It's like, yeah, that's a good goal, I guess. But our whole thing is build something for 100 people so that you're building for belonging, not for buyers. Because if you can build for belonging, that's the whole model. That's how we are wired. And so then it's about not more members, but more per member, right? So on Funk's side, then now he has coffee. There's people buying his coffee. There's people buying his sups. He just did a retreat in Thailand. And so, I mean, that was like $3,000 a ticket. So he has his membership. That's how we started, is just a 30-day challenge. And then it was, okay, join for $39 a month. And then it's, okay, buy the supplements. And then it's buy the bands. And then it's buy the backpack. And now it's buy the coffee. And then it's buy the retreat. And so you just focus on more per member. Oh, and merch. Right? So there's so many ways to just make it cool. And that's the point of a customer cult, not just like a common community, is building for belonging and building for that Dunbar, right? So just, that's what the tribe map is all about, is creating a message so suspiciously specific that it just calls out the right people. And so that's what customer culting is all about. So just really focusing on that Dunbar. And then secondary is one of the marketers that we love to follow. Her name's Sarah Levinger. So she's got killer emails. I'd check that out. But she was talking about safety over satisfaction in your messaging, because the state of the world right now, 2025 into especially 2026, is no one is safe, right? Super volatile. It's the highest cost of living. Government is like so unpredictable. We've never been in a less steady, secure, stable environment. And so it's chaos, right? In a chaotic world, then position your offer as helping protect them from future harm, right? So you want to be the prevention to bigger problems, right? And so it's kind of like that lock in now before things get worse energy, instead of, hey, I can bring you to heaven. It's more like, hey, I can make it so that you're not in hell. And we know that people will do more not to lose money than they will to gain it. And so I think this is a powerful positioning anyways. And it's just something to play with. Safety over satisfaction. So if you can tie your method, your model, your messaging into preventing bigger problems next year, then I think you're going to be in a better position to close more peaches. And again, make sure that your message is not coming from a place of neediness. I always come back to that, the Green Lights book, Matthew McConaughey, where he was like talking about wanting to get an agent in Hollywood, and he got laughed at. And he's like, you can't need an agent in Hollywood. You can't need Hollywood. Hollywood will spit you out if you need her. You have to want her, not need her. And so I think that's everything in life and in manifestation and whatever, is you got to want it, not need it. And it's very clear in people's messaging if it's sounding needy, like you need people to join, like you need money, like you need this to work. And it's just really coming into a place of want her, don't need her, right? So that's why it's just build something so fucking cool that you just feel good about sharing shit, doing shit, sharing shit, doing shit, and just inviting the right people, right? Just remove the desperation. And so that's the state of the world. It's crazy out there. We're born for the Dunbar. All we got to do is lure and lead as cult creators. Once it's built, it's just, 2 to 4 hours a day. And so I know Daraj had a kid, and so he's kind of proving that. Funk's client, Rick, the walking client, he's making over 100K a month, and he said he's bored. And so once you've built something cool, it does take a while to get there. You have to want it, right? You have to want to lead your people. You have to want to, push those dopamine triggers and continue to look at how to make it cooler. And then it's just inviting people in. So focus on your two things. Ours is partnering and posting, but there's 1,000 doors to the candy store, something like that. But yeah, that's the Cult Report. That's what we're working on this week. And let's keep fumble fucking forward. Happy Thanksgiving. I know it's going to be sleepy times until 2026, but we're out here doing the damn thing. So let's keep getting it. All right, let's go. Cheers.